If you want to update even just one room in your home, wallpaper is a great place to start. No longer just an 80s throwback trend, wallpaper has become a beautiful and also sophisticated way to turn a plain, boring space into a space with elevated style and personality. And today, designer Sita Montgomery is here to share expert tips to help you choose a wallpaper that will stick. It's so great to see you.
Thanks.
And I say a wallpaper that will stick with some humor because I think a lot of us are also getting caught up with, can I live with this decision? Will I choose a wallpaper that will stick with me and I'll enjoy for years to come? Is that possible?
You know what? It's totally possible. And it's all about picking the right wallpaper, something that is true to your style, something that you don't feel like you will get tired of, you know, that incorporates a pattern that you have loved for a long time. So it's about finding the right one, and then I think that it can stick with you for a while.
We are counting on you to help us find that right one. You say it starts with considering your personal style, as you mentioned.
Yeah, I think, you know, all of us have a personal style. Some of us have maybe not honed in on exactly what it is, but we all have certain things that we're drawn to. And I think when you're picking wallpaper, it's really important to be in tune with that. So when you're looking at a pattern, you know, are you a floral girl? Are you a geometric girl? Usually some of us know, even if we look at our clothing, we can kind of see the patterns and the colors that we gravitate towards. And even in looking at the landscape of your home, what colors are you gravitating towards? And I think if you kind of go and follow those same lanes, you're going to find something that you're truly going to love.
That's a fantastic challenge, to start with your closet. Look at your clothes and see what's jumping out to you or what you've put your fashion dollars toward. Talk to me about color, Sita. Once we have style, color seems like the natural next step. Is there a right or wrong when it comes to picking the right palette?
So again, it kind of depends on what you love for your home. I'm a neutral girl. I love neutrals, as you can see today. So my house has a lot of neutrals in it. So when I was choosing wallpaper for my own home, I chose wallpapers that were pretty soft and had some neutrality to them because I knew I could live with those for a long time. But I have worked with clients who love really bold and bright wallpapers, and that speaks to them. And so in those spaces, you know, if you are that person, don't shy away from those bold colors, because bold colors can really turn a home into an inviting and warm space. So it just depends really on, you know, what colors you're drawn to and what your home is taking shape to be.
You kind of want it to complement the overall aesthetic of your home.
Absolutely.
Can I ask you another question about color? Let's take a smaller space, like say a powder bathroom, where people tend to like to have fun and go bold. We feel like we have permission, I think, in smaller spaces like that, smaller doses, to be a little more bold and daring. If I'm doing a bold colored wallpaper, what then happens to like my ceiling or my casing or my trim? Do I want the contrast of like color, pattern, fun on the wallpaper and then a white trim or a white ceiling? Or do I want to paint that color throughout?
So the philosophy is always go big or go home, right?
Okay.
So if you're going to put this really bold, dark, dramatic, colorful wallpaper into a space like a powder room especially, these are areas where you can really kind of go crazy. And I mean, crazy, relatively crazy.
Seems like not too crazy.
Not too crazy, but I am a huge fan of painting all of your trim, so your base, your case, your ceilings, all in a color that complements the wallpaper.
So if the wallpaper is like a navy blue, we just saw a navy blue floral, I would paint the ceiling navy blue?
Yes, paint the ceiling navy blue, paint the base and the case, and even the inside of your door to your bathroom navy blue.
Okay.
It just creates this really lovely jewel box effect in this small powder room, or even in a laundry room or a smaller space.
I love it. All right, let's talk about the different patterns. You mentioned florals. Are we still seeing the bigger scaled florals?
So you're seeing a lot of different florals now. I mean, you're seeing some of the bigger scaled for sure, but you know, we have this trend coming back. It's traditional is coming back in a big way, and
which
we have
I'm so
this.
excited.
I do. I love traditional.
Yes,
so yes, I'm excited as well. Traditional is coming back in a big way. So there's this term that we're calling grandma chic. I don't know if you've heard it, but it pays homage to the wallpaper that you saw in your grandma's home, but it's just an updated version of that, and those are becoming increasingly popular. So those types of florals that have a bit of a throwback vibe, but are so current, fresh, and updated.
What makes it current, fresh, and updated? Is it the color? Is it the design?
Yeah, so the color palette is a big one.
Okay.
You know, we're seeing the colors that are really on trend, like the rusts and the olives and those slate blues. Really earthy colors are coming back into those palettes, as well as jewel tones. So we're kind of straying away from maybe some of the mauves and some of the burgundies. Think of the old school mauves and burgundies. Even those are being updated with more earth earth tones in them. And
Okay.
so it's really the color palette and also the pattern, updated ways of taking those florals and making them current.
So it's not a step and repeat necessarily, but it could be played in different ways?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Talk to me about an updated geometric pattern. What might that look like?
Yeah, so I mean, I think we all remember the chevrons of the past.
Did you have to say it? Did
I
you
know.
Do you know
I had
how
to
many
go
times
there.
we talked about chevron? I mean, you get it. For
Yes,
years, it was like
yes.
the pattern.
Yes. So now we're seeing a lot of very updated patterns, but also abstract geometric.
Okay.
So a lot of movement in the geometric patterns as well.
Okay, I have to imagine scale matters. If I've got a smaller room or a bigger room, give me a quick 1-2 on scale.
Yeah, so there's not a hard and fast rule that says that if you have a large room that you have to use a large pattern. You can use a small pattern, but there are some things to consider. So usually if you have a very large room and you want to make it intimate and feel smaller and cozier, it's kind of nice to put a large pattern on the room. It actually creates the optical illusion of drawing the walls in.
Oh.
Conversely, if you have a really small room and you want it to feel bigger, it's nice to put a smaller pattern on the walls.
Sure.
And then if you have a room that, say you have a room in your home that has 8-foot ceilings and you want it to feel taller, consider using vertical stripes or a pattern that draws your eye up vertically. And then the same thing for wanting to create a wider room, something that draws your eye horizontally.
Let me ask you a couple of quick rapid fire questions.
Yeah.
Textured wallpaper, like grass cloth. Are you a fan of that?
So textured is one of my favorite
Oh, really?
wallpapers. Yes,
Okay.
I love it because you can do it in a subtle color and still create some dimension, and it gives the room a dynamic feel. So there's more than just grass cloth. Nowadays you can get all kinds of textures. There's things that look like textiles. So there's things that look like wool, there are things that look like linen, there's mica wallpapers that look like little stones or pebbles. There's just a million different directions that you can go. So there really is something out there for everyone.
Are you a fan of wallpaper as an accent, like say on a ceiling or as a trim?
Yes, in fact, I just did a home where we put black wallpaper on the ceiling.
Oh.
And it was bold and beautiful and dramatic.
Now, why didn't you paint it?
Just because it's a grass cloth and it added that texture that we were really looking for. So instead of just being a flat, we used black wallpaper, instead of just being a flat black, it allowed it to have a little bit of texture and movement.
How stunning.
And just brings the eye up to the ceiling, but the room is still light and bright and airy.
Wow, all right. And as a trim, I don't want to say border of the 80s, but how am I using wallpaper as a trim that's not like a 4-inch, 5-inch border around the room?
So we did this actually in the powder room in my own home. So we took some trim work the majority of the way up the wall, and I left about 1/4 of the wall blank where I added wallpaper. So it just is a little bit of this accent at the top.
How pretty, Sita.
So yeah, I don't feel like you have to wallpaper a whole room or even a whole wall. There are a lot of different ways to incorporate wallpaper into your life.
And I'm out of time, but I have to ask your favorite sources for good wallpaper.
Okay, so designers buy most of their wallpaper through the trade, but the great news is that the everyday person can get online and buy those same wallpapers. So if you go to places like Anthropologie, they have a ton of designer wallpaper, even places like Ballard Design, and even, you'd be surprised, but HomeDepot.com is a great place to find some wallpapers that you'll see designers using.
All right, this was not a topic for me, but it benefited me in a great way. So thank you so much. Where can we see more of your beautiful work?
So you can find me on my website at SitaMontgomeryInteriors.com or on Instagram at Sita Montgomery Interiors.
You're so talented. Thanks for sharing your expert knowledge
Thank
and your
you.
gift. We'll link you to our website from ours too.